So, one thing which is very important is the current. You have heard about the direct current and alternative current. So, what is this direct current? Just take the example of the battery. What is happening there? This is suppose it is installed in the car electrical circuit. So, potential difference or voltage across the terminal of the battery is more or less steady value, or this is a constant value. So, the current flowing through any point in the car circuit is also a steady value and essentially does not change as a function of time, that means time invariant. So, this is the direct current, or you can say the constant current. So, working with the direct current is simple than the other current. Why? Because we deal mainly with the resistance of the circuit, and mathematics get simpler in case of the direct current. So, you can see here one picture that where it is being shown with this voltage is constant with time, that means the time invariant voltage is there. So, it is constant over the time. So, we can say the DC has limitations when we have to provide for heavy currents for the long distances, as is usually in the case of the transmission of electrical power in our day to day life. When we talk about the alternating current is what? You can see here one picture which is showing the alternating current, which is the time invariant current. So, as against the DC, we consider the case where the voltage changes as the function of the time. You can see here in the picture. We shall consider only the case where the change follows the shape of the sine. Here the voltage and the current increases from 0 value to the maximum value, then it reduces back to the 0, then continues to the minimum value, and then again it is getting the 0 value. So, this is, you can see here one cycle is completed. So, this constitutes a full cycle and which repeats thereafter. So, this is called alternating current. So, number of cycles per second is frequency. If you say that the frequency is 50 hertz, what does it mean? That means in 1 second there are 50 cycles. If you see the incandescent lamp, you should, the one question is must be coming in your mind that so why this we should have the flickering, we should have this continuous flicker in the bulb, incandescent bulb. Why it is not, we can see here. So, but because our eye cannot differentiate, it is such in such a quick process that 50 cycles per second. So, we cannot differentiate between minimum maximum, this kind of alternating movement of the current. So, being a sine wave, the value at any time point may be expressed as a trigonometric function here, which is called the sine theta. So, theta is the angle with a value between the 0 to 2 pi, or 2 pi is called 360 degree. That means this the movement of this one cycle is defined as a 0 to 360 degree. So, when we define the alternating current, it is a sinusoidal form. You can see here in the picture. So, alternating current and voltage. And similarly, in the second picture I am showing here the phase difference between the voltage and current. It is not necessary that always the voltage is coincide with the current. There can be the suppose there can be the phase difference, which is called a leading or lagging, that current can lead or current can lag with the voltage. So, if the phase value is 0, that means the waveforms coincide. Current voltage and voltage waveform, they coincide with each other. So, any other phase value points to a reactance in the circuit. So, the concept of reactance, which we will study about when in case of the AC this term comes, then just in case of DC you just study about the resistance, but when you study about the DC you will come to know about this term also. So, this reactance is also comes in picture when this kind of phase difference is there between the current and voltage. So, the reactance changes the phase of AC. Unlike DC, reactance plays a major role in case of AC. So, this form a capable of being transformed to higher or lower voltage. So, the property is very useful for transmission and distribution network. So, let me tell you about the various circuit elements. So, the various circuit elements, how can we show, how can we represent? So, this you can see here the resistance R, capacitance C, inductance is showing by L, then voltage source is being shown by V here, then dependent voltage source. Similarly, the constant current source is shown by I, and then one is the dependent current source. So, these are the pictorial view of the how we can represent the current and inductance and capacitance and voltage source. You will know about the active elements and passive elements. So, active elements are which delivers the energy, for example, the current source, voltage source. Passive elements mean which absorb the energy, that means resistance, inductance or capacitance. So, here I am just showing one circuit to you, that where the resistance and capacitance are connected in series, and the one voltage source is around that, is across the circuit. You all should know about what are the electrical loads. So, this is very common term, we know that the load is connected, this kind of terminology we use. So, what are these load? So, devices that are connected to the power system are referred to as a electrical load. So, they can be the resistive load, they can be the inductive load, they can be the capacitive load. So, you should know the some property that what are these actually. So, when we talk about the resistive load, so in a purely resistive circuit, all circuit power is dissipated by the resistors. So, resistive load are typically used to convert the current into the form of energy such as heat. Unlike the inductive load, resistive load generate no magnetic field, and some common example of the resistive load are the our traditional incandescent lighting loads, bulb, then heating elements like the toasters, then electric hot water heater, so and so on. So, they all are the resistive load. So, unit of the electrical power associated with resistive load is watt. When we talk about the inductive load, here I am just showing you some pictures of the inductance. So, such kind of when the loads are connected to the system, they are called the inductive load. So, you can see here that all electrical load that have a coil or wire form kind of thing to produce, so they produce the magnetic field around it and are called the inductive load. So, such kind of loads are also available and which are being connected to the power system, like our hair dryer, some coil form are there, fans, the current flows in some kind of coil form, then from the coils, then vacuum cleaner and many other motorized devices. So, these all are the kind of the inductive load. So, these inductive loads require magnetic field to operate. The inductor stores energy in the magnetic field. So, generally it is the unit that measure the inductance is Henry. Henry is the intensity of the magnetic field that produced. So, you can see here that in a coil that one the current is flowing or electron is flowing, then what is happening that because of that flow of the current, there is a magnetic field around this conductor, this coil. So, this magnetic field, this is so energy is stored in this magnetic field. So, similarly you can see here the other kind of the coil form. So, here the first one is the air, the inside the coil there is nothing, the air is there, but you can put some material there to increase the intensity of this magnetic field. So, when we talk about the inductor, how some properties are that the amount of the inductance is the influenced by the this is influenced by the number of factors. What can be that factor? Now, the coils. So, if you increase the number of turns, that means you are increasing the this inductance value. So, diameter of the coil, this is also influence the value of the inductance. Then spacing between the turns, this also affect. size of the wire used, whether it is thin or thick, it is also influence the inductor. Then type of the material inside the coil. So this all will affect the magnetic field around this, which is associated with any inductor. So now what is the capacitive load? A capacitance or the capacitor is a device made of two metal conductors separated by a insulator called dielectric. These dielectric is the air, paper, glass or other non-conductive material. So we can say that dielectric material become charged when voltage is applied to the attached conductor. Capacitor can remain charged long after the voltage source has been removed. So what are the examples of the capacitive load? You can say that the TV picture tube, this is also the one example. Long extension cords, these can be they can offer the capacitive load. Then there are various components which are used in the electronic devices. They work as a capacitive load. So you should know about this kind of load also, and here I am just showing that the two plates which are separated by some medium, or which is called dielectric. It can be the air, it can be the glass. So you can see in the picture, and then the battery is connected across the plate to give the so this voltage source is supplying the current to that plate. So a device that stores energy in the electric field here. In the case of the inductor, we are talking about the magnetic field, which stores the energy in the magnetic field, while in the case of the capacitor, it stores the energy in electrical field. So two conductive plates are separated by a non-conductive material. This is one property. Then electrons accumulate on the one plate, forcing electrons away from the other plate, leaving a net positive charge. You can see here one plate is becoming positive and one plate is becoming negative. That means the one electrical field is being created here. So which is very useful to work it as the capacitor. So this once this energy is stored, it can also work as you can say this is a temporary storage battery. When the charge capacitor can also be used as a temporary storage battery. So this is the commercially available capacitors are showing here, that in the case of the electronics, you can see the small capacitor, how they look like. So the amount of the charge, basically when we rate the capacitor, it depends upon the amount of the charge that can be held by it, or voltage handling capacity, or insulating material between the plates. So from these inductor, capacitor, and one term comes then inductance, capacitance and impedance. So in case of time invariant, non-changing with time, that means we are talking about the direct current. Resistance may be the only electrical property of interest, but however we consider the current which keeps changing with time, like AC. The word resistance is to be replaced by the term impedance, which is that means resistance is what, which is offering which is opposing the flow of the current. Similarly, in case of AC, we will say impedance term. Impedance is which is offering the opposition to the flow of current. So this ever changing current is called the alternating current, which the impedance is being offered. So impedance has the resistive part, and it can have the inductive or reactant. So here we can say that the resistive part and the remaining could be either capacitance or inductance, or both. So when we measure the unit of inductance, it is Henry or L. Now what is inductance? The property of any electric conductor or circuit that causes an electromotive force to be generated by a change in current flowing. So the flow of current creates the magnetic field around the conductor, and the field strength depends upon the magnitude of the current that flowing through that circuit. Magnetic field, this tends to oppose the change of the current through the circuit. So what is the relation between the current and voltage in case of the inductor? Here we can say that V is equal to L di by dt. That means you can say that this basically it opposes the rate of change of current. Suppose one current is flowing and you just make the change in this. So, the inductance is a property which opposes the rate of change of that current. So, here one constant of proportionality is coming, which is called L. The term inductive reactance is coming from here, from the inductance. So, effective opposition offered by the inductance, which is called the inductive reactance. When we denote by the expression that it is expressed by the XL, all the reactants are expressed as XL, or in the case of capacitance it is represented by XC. So, XL is equal to the omega L, where the omega is the 2 pi f, f is the frequency multiplied by L. So, you can express this inductive reactance as 2 pi FL. So, more L means more reactance, frequency is more, reactance is more. So, you can get the relation between these parameters by this expression. Frequency, you all know that this is the number of times the current completes the cycle of change in 1 second. This is denoted by the frequency. When we talk about the capacitance, this is the ability of the system to store the electric charge, is called the capacitance. It is the ratio of change in electric charge in the system to the corresponding change in the electric potential. So, how can we express it? Q is equal to C into V, that means Q is proportional to V. If you increase the voltage, that means you are increasing the charge across the plates. So, here the constant of proportionality is coming, which is called C. So, C is called the capacitance. So, C is equal to epsilon 0 A upon D. This is the expressions which is generally known for the capacitance. That means this capacitance is depending upon the area of the plates, distance between the two plates. Now, one more term which is coming into the picture is the capacitive reactance. So, capacitive reactance is similarly that opposition, reactance is in the case of AC you are talking reactance. So, in place of the resistance. So, effective opposition offered by a capacitance to flow of changing current is called the capacitive reactance. So, it is denoted by the Xc is equal to 1 upon 2 pi Fc. That means it is inversely proportional to the frequency and inversely proportional to the capacitance. If the capacitance is more, so here you can see here Xc is equal to, again I am saying that 1 upon 2 pi Fc or 1 upon omega C. So, when you know about the inductive reactance, when you know about the capacitive reactance, the term impedance comes into the picture. So, the total opposition offered by the circuit containing resistance, inductance and the capacitance is called impedance. It is denoted by Z, and Z is equal to R plus Jx. That means impedance is including the resistance R and reactance which is X, and the measuring unit is ohm. So, what is X? The X denotes the reactance due to the inductance and capacitance or combination of both. That means, in any circuit there can be the only resistance or there can be the only inductance, or there can be the only capacitance, or there can be the combination of all these. So, what is J? J is the symbolic representation of square root of -1. So, this is called the imaginary number and is used in the calculation of the complex equations in relation to the electricity. So, using this representation of impedance, the associated current also has two component. One is the real component, you can see here Z is equal to R, this R is the real component and this Jx is the imaginary component, or from here the term comes active and reactive power or active and reactive component. So, we will deal with all this in the next part. So, here I am just showing you the one picture which is the resistance, the voltage source is connected across the resistance. This is the alternating voltage source is there. You can see here what is the characteristics of the current and voltage. Both are coincide with each other, like voltage waveform is there, the peak is different, and the current waveform, the peak is different, but both are in the same phase, you can see here. So, this is the voltage and current in the same phase in the case of the pure resistance. In case of the pure inductance, what we can say that the current lags by voltage by 90 degree. The first voltage is coming, and then you can see here the current waveform. So which is lagging by the 90 degrees. From 0 is the peak point is of the voltage is at 90. So 0 of the angle, phase angle is showing for the current. So that means the current lagged by V, lagging current is being provided by the pure inductance. So here what is the pure capacitance? You can see from this picture that the capacitor and the alternating voltage source across the capacitor, then the voltage and current waveform. So current leads by V by 90 degree. That means the maximum or peak of the current is coming first, and then after the peak of voltage is coming. So we can say that the current is leading by 90 degree in case of the pure capacitance. If it is not pure, then there will be leading current, but it won't be by 90 degree. If it is not pure, that means some resistance or some is mixed in that. So in the case of you can say that in the pure inductance provide the leading current. So in the case of inductance, it provides lagging current, and pure capacitance provide the leading current. So this is the table which is showing the current voltage relation between the three elements: resistance, inductance and capacitance. So those who are more involved in the circuit theory and would like to solve the problems related to that, for them it is important to know the relationship between the current, voltage and power. So this you can see here, just like in the case of inductance, V is equal to L di by dt, I is equal to 1 upon L integration of V dt plus I0. So these are the relationships. So now coming to the active and reactive power. So what is the active power? The power which is utilized and consumed in useful work in AC and DC circuit is known as the active power. So it is also called the true power. You have heard about that how much power is being consumed, what is the real power. So this is the active power, the useful power or wattful power. These are the term which is being used for the active power, which it is expressed in the watt, kilowatt, megawatt. So whenever we are saying about this, that means we are talking about the active power which is actually being consumed by the any system or any electrical system or in any electrical circuit. You can see here the in the power triangle, suppose the total power which is expressed by the S, which is the multiplication of V into I. This is called the apparent power. When you measure the power, you will in the volt ampere, you can say the power is equal to voltage into current. So this is the apparent power which appears. But it is having the two components. One component is the active or real component, and one is the reactive component. So the useful work we can get from the active component, which is denoted by the P, and the reactive component is showing by the Q. So you can see here the one phase angle is there, theta. When we define this active power is important to produce heat and utilize the electric and magnetic field generated by the reactive power. When you see the formulas of the electric power, that you can, in the case of DC circuit, you can say P is equal to V into I. In case of active power, in case of single phase AC circuit, you can say P is equal to V into I cos theta. You can see in the power triangle what is theta. This is the phase angle. Then P is equal to under root 3 VL IL cos theta in the three phase circuit. Under root 3 line current, line voltage multiplied by the cos theta. So here in case that means we can say the active power is equal to using the Pythagoras theorem in the case of the power triangle, you can say kilowatt is equal to under root of kVA square minus kVAR square. And so the active power is being shown by the kilowatt, and apparent power is showing by the volt ampere or kilovolt ampere, and the reactive power is expressed by the kVAR. Basically this how this term kVAR comes, we will see here. What is this reactive power? Our interest was the real power or active power, because which actually we are getting in the work form. So, but it is also essential to know what is this reactive power. So, the power which moves or bounce back and forth when between the source and the load in the circuit is known as the reactive power. Sometimes we call it as a useless power or wattless power. So, reactive power is denoted by Q and measured in VAR, volt ampere reactive, and generally kilovolt ampere reactive or megavolt ampere reactive, the larger units of this. So, reactive power plays a very important role in the case of the AC circuit to produce the magnetic and electric field. In the case of generator motor, this term is very essential, generate the magnetic field, and it stores in the circuit and discharged by like transformers, solenoid and induction motors, etc. So, when we talk about the formula of the reactive power, so we express it like it Q is equal to V into I into sin theta. From where it comes? From the power triangle. You can see here that where the theta is the phase angle. So, the Q can be the vertical component, it can be expressed as this Vi sin theta, and active power was the horizontal component, which was expressed by the Vi cos theta. So, here the term Q is coming, which is called the reactive power. So, we can say the volt ampere reactive can be measured as the volt ampere square, under root of the volt ampere square minus active power square. So, that means the reactive power is equal to the under root of the apparent power square minus true power square. So, this is coming from the Pythagoras theorem, or when we talk about the power triangle. These expressions can be obtained. Now, the very important term is the power factor. You can see your electricity bills and all some equipments. There is a power factor value is also mentioned there, that what power factor you have considered, 1 or it is 0.5, 0.8 or this. So, what does it mean? So, efficiency of the power system can be viewed how much total power, that means the real plus reactive power is required to get the real work done. That means it is taking the real and reactive power, but how much but work is we can obtain from the real power. So, this can be expressed in the form of the expressions typically in the power factor above 95% are considered good, or sometimes 90%, 0.9. So, this is good, near to 1. So, this is high power factor. So, it is always good to have the high power factor, and there are disadvantages of having the poor power factor. So, the power factor may be defined as the cosine of the angle between the voltage and current, cos theta, or we can say here power factor is equal to R by Z, what, resistance divided by impedance, or power factor can be defined as the real power divided by total power. So, if the more real power is there, that if the power is the real power and the reactive power, and if the amount of the real power is more, then power factor is more. So, real power divided by total power. So, this is the power factor. So, it is always good to have the high power factor. If the reactive power component made 0, that means power factor unity. That means it's our aim to make it this reactive power component, which is coming in the picture because of the inductance capacitance. It is need to be compensated when we would like to make the power factor unity. So, what are the disadvantages of this poor power factor? The poor power factor, that means you know that what when you term P is equal to Vi cos theta. If theta is more, means V into I multiplied by cos theta, that means you are getting the more real power. And if theta is this cos theta, if you are getting this cos theta less, that means real power component you are getting less. So, the power loss is more in case of the low power factor. So, the low power factor requires equipment of higher rating for transfer. So, with this I am ending this session of basics of electricity. So friends, so today we have discussed about the various terminology, current, voltage, power, energy, and then power factor, then capacitance, inductance, resistance, impedance. So we have discussed about the electrical supply. So all these are the very important when you learn about the basics of electricity. So this was the some basic introduction of the electricity. Thank you.